The program sat on the registration table, stacked neatly with others. I picked one up without thinking, the same way people do when they arrive early and need something to hold. My name should have been there. It had always been there in one form or another for 27 years. The paper felt heavier once I opened it. I scanned the first page, then the second. Wedding party. Order of ceremony. Parents of the bride. My eyes stopped. Father of the bride, Thomas Reed. That was Emily's stepfather. I checked again, slower this time, as if speed might have caused the mistake. The letters didn't move. My name wasn't hidden further down. It wasn't misspelled. It simply wasn't there. A woman behind the table noticed me lingering. "Everything okay?" she asked. I pointed at the line with a finger that felt steadier than it should have. "This version," I said. "Is this the final print?" She nodded. "Yes, sir. Approved and sent to print last week." "By whom?" "The bride," she replied, "and the planner." Another copy came from the stack. Same result. No correction. No alternate version. I handed it back and stepped away, letting the next guest take my place. The phone came out of my pocket before I reached the side corridor. Emily answered on the third ring. "Hey," she said. Her voice carried movement, people talking around her. "My name isn't in the program," I said. A pause followed, short, measured. "It's not a big deal," she replied. "We can talk later." "Later doesn't change print," she sighed. "You're reading too much into it. This is just logistics." "Then why is Thomas listed?" "He's helping out," she said. "Can we not do this right now? I'm in the middle of something." The line stayed open, waiting for agreement. None came. "We'll talk after the rehearsal," she added, already pulling away from the call. "I have to go." The connection ended without goodbye. Voices carried from the main hall as doors opened. Chairs scraped. Someone called out instructions. The rehearsal was starting ahead of schedule. A planner walked past, clipboard tucked against her arm. "Mr. Harper," she said, slowing her pace. "They're ready for parents up front." I followed the folded program, still in my hand. Couples crossed the floor, lining up where they'd been told. Emily stood near the aisle dress pinned at the back, talking with Thomas. She didn't look over. Parents were directed to seats along the front row. I hesitated, then took the one closest to the aisle. Thomas joined her on the opposite side. The symmetry felt deliberate, even if no one said it out loud. Instructions continued. "Stand here, walk there, pause, smile." Someone handed me another program already marked with cues. I didn't open it this time. The earlier copy stayed folded against my leg, the line with his name pressed flat from my grip. Emily finally glanced my way. Her expression held urgency, not surprise. A small shake of the head followed a warning more than an apology. The planner clapped her hands to regain focus. "Let's start from the top," she said. People broke formation as soon as the planner dismissed the group. Chairs scraped back. Conversations overlapped. Someone laughed too loudly near the aisle. I stepped away from the row and headed towards the side corridor, keeping the folded program in my hand. Emily caught up before the doors. "We're not doing this here," she said. "This was already done," came the reply. "I'm asking why." Her jaw tightened. The planner handled the program. "That's on her. She didn't replace my name on her own." A glance over her shoulder. Thomas stood several steps back, talking with someone from his side of the family. Emily lowered her voice. "Please, not now." A woman approached one of the groom's relatives. She smiled, polite and uncertain. "Michael Wright," she said. "We were wondering who's coordinating the final payments." There were some changes mentioned. Emily answered before I could. "Everything's covered," she said quickly. "We've got it handled." The woman nodded, still studying my face as if trying to place my role. She moved on without pressing. More relatives gathered near the exit. A man I hadn't met before shook my hand. "So you're the—" He stopped, corrected himself. "You're Emily's father?" "Yes. Thomas has been a big help," he added. "We appreciate that." Emily shifted closer to block the conversation. He's done a lot for us, she said, guiding the man away. The air around us changed, not hostile, just rearranged. People started to decide where I fit without asking. A planner hurried past with her phone raised. Michael, she called, slowing. We need to settle the balance on the floral upgrade. The vendor wants confirmation tonight. Send me the invoice, I said. Emily turned sharply. I told you I'd handle that. Forward it anyway. The planner hesitated, then nodded and moved on. The parking lot was crowded with cars pulling out engines, starting doors slamming. My phone vibrated before reaching my vehicle. A number from the catering company. Then another from rentals. Each call followed the same pattern polite greeting mention of an outstanding amount assumption that I would confirm. Send it, I told them. I'll review. By the time I started the engine, 3 emails had come through. Subject lines flagged as urgent. Traffic thickened near the highway. A diner sign appeared ahead, the kind that stayed open late because someone always needed a place to sit. I pulled off and parked without thinking much about it. Daniel Ruiz was already there, seated near the counter. He stood when he saw me. Didn't expect to see you tonight, he said. Neither did I, came the response, taking the stool beside him. A server slid over menus. Daniel waved them away. You okay? He asked. Not really the point, I said. I need clarity. He leaned back slightly. I figured this might come up. Then start there. Daniel didn't rush. On paper, you're listed on most of the contracts. Venue deposit, catering base, rentals, partial floral, and the rest split, he said. Some smaller items came from Thomas, but the big pieces, your name's on them. That's not what people seem to think. No, Daniel agreed. It's not. He took a folded packet from his bag and set it between us. In a few meetings, he continued, Emily referred to Thomas as the main sponsor. Not every time. Just enough that it stuck. Did you correct her? I asked for clarification, he said. She said it was complicated. The server brought coffee. Daniel wrapped his hands around the mug. There's chatter, he added. Planners talk. Vendors compare notes. When names don't match stories, questions start. The phone buzzed again. Another invoice, another polite assumption. How bad does it get? I asked. That depends, Daniel said. If you keep paying, nothing changes. If you stop, people will want answers. And my position? He didn't hesitate. Right now, unclear. I slid the packet closer, scanning dates and signatures. My name appeared more often than not. Send me everything I said, emails, texts, revisions. I want the full trail. Daniel nodded. I'll forward it tonight. The server returned with the check, though nothing had been ordered. I paid anyway. Outside traffic hummed steadily. The phone stayed in my hand as more notifications arrived. Each one added weight without explanation. Daniel paused by the door. For what it's worth, he said, this isn't about gratitude. It's about control. The thought followed me back to the car. The engine started. Messages continued to arrive. I pulled onto the highway, already drafting a reply to Daniel asking for timelines and attachments as the road stretched ahead. Daniel spread the folders across the table without commentary. Contracts, invoices, email chains, each stack labeled by vendor. I took the seat across from him and pulled the nearest set closer. Catering came first. The initial agreement matched what had been discussed months ago. A second page followed with a revised total higher by several thousand. A note in the margin read, Family Side Edition approved. That wasn't a discussion, I remember, I said. Daniel shook his head. It wasn't one I was part of. Floral invoices told the same story. Original numbers, adjustments, short justifications, no signature changes, just different explanations depending on who was copied. An email notification chimed on Daniel's laptop. He glanced at the screen, then turned it toward me. This came in this morning, he said. The message came from the groom's aunt, sent to the planning group. "We appreciate Thomas stepping up to cover the remaining balance. It means a lot to our family." The line sat there plain and unembellished. They believed that Daniel added. No one corrected it. Another folder came open. Rental upgrades, lighting, chairs. Each increase came with a version of the same phrase covered by the bride's family. Which family, I asked. Daniel didn't answer. He didn't need to. The phone rang before moving to the next stack. The bank's number showed on the screen. I stepped aside to take it. "This is Mark from First Atlantic," the voice said. "We're reviewing recent transfers related to the Harper wedding account. Go ahead." There were several increases approved in the last 2 weeks, he said. Notes indicate additional contributions from the bride's side. "No one asked me. That's why I'm calling," he replied. "We wanted to confirm. Do not process further increases without direct authorization." "Understood," Mark said. "I'll note the file." The call ended. Daniel watched without interrupting. "That's new," he said. "So this came the response, holding up the rental invoice again. A notification appeared on my phone before the folders were closed. Emily's name. I let it ring once, then answered. "Hey," she said. Her voice sounded hurried, practiced. "We need to talk about something." "Say it." "There's a small gap," she said. "A few things came up last minute. If you can send the transfer today, it keeps everything smooth." How much? She named a number. "Not small. That wasn't in the plan," I said. "It's not a big change," she replied. "Everyone expects it. I don't want this to look bad." "Bad to whom?" A pause followed. "To people who matter." "I'll get back to you," I said. "No, I really need to know now," she insisted. "The vendors are pressing." I said, "I'll get back to you." The line went dead. Daniel slid another folder across the table. "This one's from the venue," he said. "Same pattern." The clock on the wall ticked past the hour. Messages stacked up on my phone without being opened. Each one carried a variation of urgency. "She's managing different stories," Daniel said, "depending on the room, and relying on what history," he answered. "That you'll cover it." Paper moved from pile to pile as numbers were checked and dates matched. A timeline formed without commentary. Adjustments began after the program went to print. Increases followed conversations where my name didn't appear. Another email came through. This one from the groom's father. "We were told Thomas took care of the remaining costs. Please let us know if there's anything we should reimburse." The phrasing was careful. The assumption wasn't. "That makes 2, Daniel said. The phone vibrated again. Emily didn't leave a message this time. A text followed. "Can you just confirm the transfer? I need this settled?" No response went out. The folder stayed open. "How close are we?" Daniel asked. "Too close." He nodded. "Then you should be there." "I will be." The documents went back into their folders. Daniel gathered them, then stopped. "You want copies or originals, both?" He placed the stack into a larger envelope and slid it across. People were already lined up when I walked in. 2 families' planners, a few friends pressed into rows that hadn't settled yet. Voices overlapped as instructions bounced back and forth. No one expected me at that moment, which made it easier to step forward. "Hold on," I said. The planner looked up, surprised. "We're about to start." "It won't take long." Emily turned first. Her face tightened as she saw the envelope under my arm. "This isn't the time," she said, moving toward me. "It's the last time everyone's together," I replied. "That makes it the right one." A murmur ran through the group. Thomas shifted his stance near the front. The groom's parents exchanged a glance. I addressed the planner. "Before we continue, I need one thing clarified. She hesitated. Okay, who's listed as the primary sponsor for this wedding? Emily stepped in. This is a misunderstanding. We can clear it up later. I asked a simple question. The planner glanced at her clipboard. We have Thomas Reed noted as covering the remaining balance. That's not accurate, I said. Emily's voice rose. Michael, please. I opened the envelope and pulled out the first page. This is the venue deposit, I said, holding it up. Paid 6 months ago. My name is on it. A second page followed. Catering-based package, also mine. A third, rental agreement. Same. The planner leaned closer, scanning the documents. These are valid. Emily shook her head. You're twisting things. Thomas helped with additions. Let's list them, I said. Floral upgrade, lighting changes, chair replacement. The planner nodded. Those were billed as bride's family additions, and approved by whom I asked. She checked her notes. Emily. The groom's father stepped forward. We were told Thomas covered the remaining costs. That's what we understood, his wife added. I turned to them. That's not what happened. Emily's eyes flashed. You didn't have to do this here. You didn't have to change the story. She reached for the envelope. It stayed out of reach. This was about keeping things smooth, she said. You always said you didn't need credit. I didn't say you could replace me. The planner cleared her throat. For clarity, the outstanding balance is tied to Michael's accounts. A ripple moved through the group. Phones came out. Whispers followed. Thomas finally spoke. I did help, with what I asked. He paused. Some smaller items, not the ones people are thanking you for. Emily turned on him. You said you were okay with it. I said I'd support you, he replied. Not that I'd take credit for someone else's money. The groom's aunt spoke from the side. Why were we told otherwise? Emily pressed her lips together, then spoke quickly. Because it looks bad if my father isn't involved. I was involved, I said. She raised her voice. Not the way people expect. The planner looked between us. We need to resolve this. Here's the resolution, I said. The records show who paid. The groom's father nodded slowly. We need to revisit our understanding. Emily's shoulders sagged. I didn't mean for it to turn into this. You meant for it to work, I said. That required a lie. Silence followed, brief but heavy. Then questions came from different directions. So who's covering the remaining balance? Does this affect the ceremony? Why wasn't this addressed earlier? The planner tried to regain control. Let's pause. We'll need to sort the financials before proceeding. Emily turned toward me, voice breaking. You're humiliating me. You handled that yourself. She wiped her face and spoke again, lower now. I needed it to look a certain way, that's all. To whom? To them, she said, gesturing toward the groom's family. To everyone. The groom's mother crossed her arms. We deserve honesty. Emily didn't answer. I slid the documents back into the envelope and sealed it. This rehearsal can continue without me, I said. The planner started to object. The groom's father raised a hand. We'll take a moment. The phone started vibrating before the door closed behind me. Messages stacked faster than they could be read. Missed calls followed, some with voicemails, others without. Shoes came off near the entry. The envelope from the rehearsal landed on the kitchen table, unopened. Emily's name appeared first. Then Thomas. Then the planner. Then a number I didn't recognize. The phone kept buzzing as a glass of water was poured and left untouched. One voicemail played while another came in. Please call me back. We need to fix this before tomorrow. You embarrassed everyone. This didn't have to happen. Let's not blow this up. It's just stress. A text from Emily followed. You didn't have to do that. You could have talked to me. Another arrived seconds later. They're asking questions now. Are you happy? The phone went face down. A laptop came out next. Bank statements filled the screen year by year. Tuition transfers, rent deposits, emergency funds, wedding deposits layered on top of older patterns that hadn't felt connected until now. Scrolling slowed. College, first apartment, the year her car broke down twice, the year she didn't call unless something was wrong. Each line carried a date, an amount, and no follow-up question. The phone lit up again. This time the groom's father. I answered. We should talk, he said. This is getting complicated. It already is. We're trying to keep the focus on the marriage, he continued. Family matters can stay private. They didn't, came the reply. A pause followed. Emily is overwhelmed. She wasn't confused. We can resolve this, he said. Quietly. I'm not discussing this emotionally. That's not what I meant. Then speak to my lawyer. Silence held the line for a moment longer before it ended. The laptop screen stayed open as another folder was pulled from the cabinet. Estate documents signed years earlier when things felt simpler. Beneficiaries. Trust language. Conditions written carefully, assuming good faith. The phone buzzed again. The planner this time. We need confirmation on the remaining balance, she said quickly. Vendors are threatening to pull. That's between you and Emily. You've always handled payments. That changed. A breath on the other end. This affects a lot of people. So did lying. The call ended without resolution. Back at the table, documents spread out in no particular order. The pattern was clear enough without commentary. Silence had been taken as permission. Availability as obligation. Distance as consent. A legal pad came out. Notes followed, brief and practical. Dates, amounts, names. The number for my attorney sat saved under a name that hadn't been used in years. It rang once before he answered. Michael, he said. What's going on? I need an appointment. Tomorrow morning. That sounds urgent. It is. Bring everything. I will. The call ended. The house settled into stillness without offering comfort. Emily called again. This time a voicemail followed immediately. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. Her voice shook, controlled just enough to sound sincere. I just needed it to look right. You always said you didn't care about recognition. A pause. Then quieter. Please don't do anything drastic. The message ended. The phone stayed where it was. Another call came through. Thomas. I didn't know it would come out like that, he said. I never asked for credit. I know. She felt pressure. She applied it. We're still family, he said. Families don't rewrite facts. A long exhale came through the speaker. What are you planning to do? Handle it. He didn't ask how. The laptop closed. Documents were stacked neatly, now sorted without urgency. The legal pad slid to the top. One final message arrived, this one from Emily's number again. If you cut support now, it ruins everything. The receptionist recognized my name before I reached the desk. A folder already waited on the corner, tabbed and labeled. I followed her down the hall without exchanging pleasantries. The door to my attorney's office was open. Sit, he said, motioning to the chair across from his desk. Let's start with facts. The envelope from the rehearsal opened first. Contracts spread out, then bank statements, then the estate documents. He moved through them methodically, stopping only to make notes in the margin. You can withdraw current support immediately, he said. No obligation to continue. That includes the wedding, yes, and the trust. He leaned back slightly. You can amend beneficiary terms. Activation clauses are already in place. It won't be reversible without consent. That's fine. He nodded and turned to a different folder, thinner than the rest. There's something else, he said. The page he slid forward carried Emily's signature. Not recent. Dated months earlier. What is this? I asked. A disclosure attached to a secondary vendor agreement, he replied. She identified Thomas as the primary financial sponsor. I read it twice. The language was plain, clear, legally binding. She signed this yes, and used it where, with the venue's insurance rider, he said, it establishes financial responsibility in case of dispute. What does that mean for her? If this becomes contested, he said it raises questions about misrepresentation. Not criminal on its own, but damaging. To whom her, he said. And potentially the groom's family if they relied on it. The door opened before another question could be asked. Emily stepped in, breath, uneven eyes fixed on the desk. I need to talk to him, she said. My attorney stood. You can wait outside. No, she insisted. This is between us. He looked at me. The answer came without hesitation. Handle it, I said. Emily's gaze hardened. You won't even hear me out. You've been heard. She turned to the desk. This is going too far, my attorney interjected. Ms. Harper, this office represents your father. Anything you say here may affect ongoing matters. I don't care, she said. You're trying to ruin my life. No, came the reply. You did that when you signed documents you couldn't defend. Her voice broke. I was protecting myself. From what? From being judged, she said. From being the one with less. The attorney cleared his throat. The issue isn't perception. It's documentation. Emily looked down at the page in front of her. I didn't think it mattered. It does, he said, especially when money changes hands. She turned back toward me. If this gets out, it won't, I said, unless someone pushes it. Silence settled between us, strained but contained. The attorney gathered the papers again. We'll proceed with notifications. To whom, Emily asked. Relevant parties, he replied. Your in-laws' counsel has already requested clarification. Her shoulders dropped. They called a lawyer. They noticed discrepancies, he said. That tends to happen. Emily's phone buzzed. She checked it, then set it face down without answering. I need time, she said. You had time, I replied. The attorney stood again. Ms. Harper, I'll ask you to step out. She didn't move right away. Her eyes searched my face for something that wasn't there. This didn't have to end like this, she said. It didn't, I answered. But it will. She left without another word. The door closed. The attorney returned to his seat and typed briefly. I'll issue formal notices, he said. Withdrawal of support effective immediately. Trust amendment filed. And the disclosure. That stays on record, he said, unless challenged. I nodded. The printer hummed softly as letters came out one by one. He signed where needed, then slid them into envelopes. Anything else, he asked? No. He sealed the last envelope and passed it to his assistant through the open door. Send these today, he said. Calls started before sunrise. Numbers from unfamiliar area codes lit up the phone one after another. Messages followed when calls went unanswered. Each carried a version of the same request clarification. The groom's father left the first voicemail. We need to understand what's happening with the finances, he said. There are inconsistencies. By mid-morning, his attorney reached out through mine. A formal inquiry arrived an hour later, polite, in tone, firm, in content. They wanted documentation. They wanted timelines. They wanted to know who had actually paid for what. The planner followed soon after. We're revising the contracts, she said. Several vendors are pausing services until balances are confirmed. What's being cut? I asked. Anything not fully paid? She replied. Floral enhancements, seating upgrades, lighting changes. Do what you need to. A short pause. That will change the ceremony. So be it. Emails stacked up as the day moved on. Revised invoices, notices of suspension, requests for confirmation that never came. Each adjustment stripped away something that had been added without asking. By the afternoon, my attorney sent over the final documents. Termination of all current financial support. Trust amendment ready for signature. No ambiguity in the language. Once this is filed, he said over the phone, there's no going back. That's the point. I signed where indicated and sent them back. Daniel Ruiz called later that evening. She's trying to reach you, he said. Asked me to pass along a message. What message that she wants to explain? Says none of this was meant to hurt you. Did she ask for access? Yes. Then tell her no. Daniel hesitated. She sounds scared. Fear isn't new. Another message came through minutes later, this one from Emily directly. Please, just 5 minutes. No reply went out. The following day brought more structure. The planner confirmed cancellations. The venue adjusted the schedule to reflect reduced services. The groom's family pulled their partial contribution until matters were resolved. A call came from Thomas. She's not handling this well, he said. She built it. You're cutting her off completely. I'm stepping out. That's the same thing to her. Then she should have chosen differently. Silence stretched between us. He ended the call without arguing. The attorney requested one final meeting to execute filings in person. The office felt familiar now, stripped of tension. Papers moved across the desk. Signatures followed without ceremony. This activates immediately, he said, sliding the final page forward. The pen paused briefly, then moved. A knock sounded at the door before the ink dried. The assistant stepped in. She's downstairs, she said quietly. Emily, my attorney looked up. Do you want to see her? No. He nodded and turned back to the paperwork. Please inform her all communication goes through counsel, he told the assistant. Footsteps faded down the hall. The final document was stamped and placed into a folder. Copies were made. Notices queued for delivery. That's it, the attorney said. It's done. Outside, the city moved at its usual pace. Phones buzzed in passing. People walked by without knowing what had shifted. Daniel sent one last message as I reached the sidewalk. She knows now. I told her the decision stands. A reply went out. Thank you. Nothing more. The wedding passed without my presence. That detail mattered less than expected. News still arrived in fragments carried by other people who thought updates were necessary. Emily moved into her new place with fewer plans than she'd announced. The apartment was smaller. Temporary, according to what I heard. Her in-laws covered some costs at first, then stepped back once questions stopped being hypothetical. Conversations changed after that. Fewer invitations, less certainty. The accounts stayed closed. Work resumed on Monday without commentary. Meetings ran long. Deadlines stayed fixed. A bridge retrofit moved forward after weeks of delay. Familiar problems returned measurable and contained. Colleagues asked how things were going. Answers stayed brief and accurate. A message came through late one evening while reviewing a project schedule. I'm sorry. I didn't know how else to handle it. No greeting, no explanation. Just that. The screen stayed lit until it dimmed on its own. No reply followed. Weeks passed. Paperwork slowed to a trickle. One final appointment remained routine and procedural. The folder felt lighter when it came out of the cabinet. Documents that once assumed permanence now served as records of closure. The attorney reviewed the final pages without looking up. This completes the amendment, he said. Everything is filed. Good. He slid the folder across the desk. If she contests, she won't. A nod followed. Then, this is finished. Outside, the day moved along at a pace that didn't require attention. A message from Daniel came in while crossing the lobby. She asked if you'd reconsider. I told her no. Thank you. That was the exchange. Work filled the rest of the week. A new assignment came through, one that required travel and coordination across teams. Preparation replaced waiting. Evenings shifted toward something different. Time spent training for a long-distance cycling event, a goal that didn't involve anyone else's approval. Emily's name appeared less often. When it did, it came through others. She's adjusting. She didn't expect it to stick. She says she understands now. Those statements passed without response. Another message arrived months later. Shorter this time. I hope you're well. The phone went back into my pocket. The final document needed signing before year's end. The attorney's office was quieter than before, efficient without ceremony. Pen to paper. Initials placed where required. All set, he said. The folder closed for the last time. The elevator doors opened without delay. A call came in as I stepped out, work-related, clear, and necessary. The conversation moved straight to numbers and timelines. Outside traffic moved steadily. The phone slipped back into my jacket as the call ended. Steps carried forward without pause, the weight of unfinished business gone, leaving only what remained manageable.